Welcome back to another episode of Finding Gratitude. Now I've got a highly wait, what was it? Wait, hold on. I remember this highly creative individual. No, no,
Hi.
no, no, no. Hyper creative individual.
That's
Right?
correct.
Is that like what you like to describe? No, no, that's what someone said you were. Right? You're a
That's
hyper creative individual. What else would
so
you
my
say you
housemate.
are?
DFI? No, not really.
I mean, apart from being a DFI, like, so
Definitely
you
not a DFI.
I guess you make music.
I
What would
make
you say?
music.
Like,
I'm a producer. I'm a songwriter. I'm a beat maker. I'm a video editor. I'm
so just essentially a hyper creative individual.
yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to step into that you haven't stepped into? Obviously, music was
Uh,
like the main one. You've done
yes.
photos and stuff
So
and videos.
I started just literally just playing music when I was 14. Like I played guitar. And then started singing when I was like 15. Or maybe younger with guitar, like writing songs and shit. I wrote my first song when I was like 14, I think. And then
Wait, you started playing when you were 15, but you had already
I
written
started
a
playing
song.
when I was 13,
Okay.
actually. The end of year 7, I started getting guitar lessons. And then, but I mean, there was always a piano in my house. So I just used to like tinkle on that.
And
Not
there was always kind of piano. What? Because what? You're
My grandpa was a pianist, so
pianist.
yes. So there was always like a piano in my house or like very close by. But yeah, I like,
So
and
heavily
also,
influenced, I guess, by your.
yeah,
by
in a
that.
way, they wanted me to play like brass instruments because that's what they were into. But I just ended up finding guitar in year 7. A couple of other mates were playing, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. So I want to try that, and that stuck for like 3 years or something. I had lessons, and yeah, just like started doing like YouTube covers and shit. Started producing like when I was like 17 or something, like just amateurly, like got a software and an audio interface and just started like making songs.
Is producing like making music and just I guess just making the whole thing, right?
Yeah, I guess like producing has a loose definition in like all creative fields, really.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah, true. I get
when
it.
I refer to it, I guess it's just like putting it together in a software, putting this music together in a
Like all
software.
instruments, if there's instruments.
Yeah,
anything.
exactly. So like learning how you got different drum samples into samplers and like arranging songs and literally just churning out like hundreds of songs over the past decade or whatever.
Yeah, I
Just
remember when Jai was kind of telling me about you. He was like, "Oh, he's got like 3 albums ready to go, and he's already writing like his new one, and like he just likes to just keep writing." I was like, "Oh, true, really."
Yeah, I just literally cuz it's like for me it's part of like my function, you know? Like it's like an outlet. So if I'm not doing that, then there's no exhaust coming out of my existence, so I would just fucking blow up. Like, just feels like something that I have to do to be me.
Yeah, true. Like an out. Okay, yeah. So that's where you kind of like expressing how you feel and your thoughts and
100%, man. Like, everything that I go through, there's probably a song about it somewhere in a hard drive or some old cloud storage, like, or on YouTube, like, definitely. And, like, it's kind of like the more you go through or the harder it is, the easier the song is to write. It just like pours out of you. Like I'll usually start with music and it will just fit the tone that I'm of the emotion that I'm feeling, and then I'll write lyrics about whatever's going on, and it's usually like a pretty like most of the time I don't have to force anything. It just kind of like it's like a conscious stream of content or like
yeah, it's whatever you're thinking
art or
going
whatever.
through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like just comes out. But until lately, like I've been more thinking of concepts and then writing about the concept,
Yeah.
which feels a little nicer. Maybe not nicer, just different because I'm used to just only having outlets and being like, blah, blah, blah. This is what's happening. This is how I'm feeling. But now I'm like, okay, like, why not, have this is the song and it's like a double meaning, and I'll have things that, you know, kind of go together about a certain subject.
Do you think it's also because you're kind of thinking of like building an EP or building an album that's where you kind of like, oh, let's think of a concept, or no, it's kind of like every song it's thinking of a concept now?
I mean, the album I'm writing at the moment is a concept, and I guess in a way, the one I wrote last year was a concept, but that one kind of just came together. I usually start writing and I'll get a couple of songs and like kind of develop a sound and be like, okay, this can be a project. And
Yeah,
I
true.
mean, like I'm at the point now where that's what just happens. Like I'll start a thing and then maybe I'll get some sounds together and then I'll like just use those sounds and make 2 or 3 songs and then okay, like this is going to be an EP. And now it's just like mostly albums because I have the capacity to write an album. You know, like I got 12 or 13 songs together in like 3 weeks or something like that, like a month ago.
True. Okay.
For the like the DFI album.
That was also after we came back from Splendor, right? Do you think you got
Yeah.
like?
Well, it started before we went, but after more concepts kind of came from the experience that was Splendor. And yeah, like just got this sound down and just like, yeah, let's just keep pumping them out. So that project's like got 12 or 13, maybe even 14 songs. Some are like more in the demo stage, some are like getting closer. But yeah, no, I like writing for concepts.
Yeah.
And I've started doing that with a friend of mine as well. Like we meet up and write stuff.
Yeah, and that's already for like I guess visual concepts, right? Though, right? Like
Yeah.
you tie in with.
Yeah, so she's got a sync agent, and she's actually had a bit of success writing for sync. And sync is basically just writing things that might be used in adverts or like TV, movies. So she's had a bit of success. So she's got an agent, and she just hit me up. She knows I'm always pumping out songs, and she's like, "Do you want to like just write and build a catalog of songs? I've got a brief from my agent. This is the kind of thing they're looking for, and we can just have a bag of songs and hopefully get a couple picked
So that's
up."
another good way to be, I guess, making money, right, in this whole industry, because it's hard to.
That's where the money's at.
To make money, especially when you're like an artist trying to, or like you know, like a starting kind of artist.
Yeah, man, like it's super hard. And for me, that's ideal because like I like performing and I want to do like festivals with maybe the next EP that I'm like the This Is Zepha EP that will come out in like a month. I'd love to do that, but like I'm a producer, so like for me it's sitting in the studio or my room and just making the songs and like crafting them together. Like that's the ideal way of me making income. I like doing
Through
different
music.
things, but that's it. Yeah, making and producing the music and designing the sound and like just chipping away at like the sculpture, you know, and be like, okay, boom. And then if that's how I can make income for the rest of my life, like I'll be happy. Until I'm not.
I mean, if it's passion, like if you're passionate about it, then you're always gonna be happy as long as you're just making stuff. You know what I mean? As long as you just continue to create, and if it's your passion, then you're gonna continue to do it. That's why like people say, you know, always, you know, when you're following your dreams, follow your passion, because at the start or sometimes it's not gonna be paying any money. So
you got to do it for the love.
That's right.
First and foremost.
Just going back to when you're like, okay, well, I wrote my first song when you were 13 to 14.
14.
Do you remember what that song was about? Like, what were you experiencing that you started to write onto into paper and made into a song?
Oh my god.
You can't remember?
I remember the riff. It went but I can't really remember the lyrics. I was listening to a lot of like Disturbed and like kind of like I don't even know like what that genre is.
Yeah, is that like
rock,
heavy metal,
like heavy, like kind of metally. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not good with genres. I think it was rock stuff. So something like epic. But I remember the next song I wrote after that, which was like more of an actual song, which I think was the next song. Actually, yeah, the one I wrote after that was called Reckoning, which was even more like Disturbed.
Do you still
And
have
it was
this song
like
saved or? Are they,
I don't know if I recorded Reckoning. I've got Flags recorded somewhere, which is the song I wrote after that. And that was about, I remember that clearly because it was about this girl that I was seeing at the time when I was like 15 and she was 16. and she was talking about like flags when you start dating someone. You're like, oh, there's a red flag or whatever.
Ah,
She's like,
okay.
oh, that's a red flag. So I wrote like the hook is like something something. Don't let these flags fall down. Something stupid, but like kind of meaningful.
True. And you say that you do have that somewhere recorded, maybe?
Yeah, because I
Gee.
remember re-recording it somewhere. It could be on Mediafire. Shout out Mediafire. You know
Gotta-
Mediafire?
Yeah.
It's the OG cloud storage.
We gotta like
Hack into the mainframe and
we're gonna have to try to download
Yeah.
that track, bro. Let's fucking have a listen to it.
it'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, it'll definitely be pretty funny, man. What? So you started like so you're sorry. So you started writing songs what when you're like 14, 15.
Yeah.
And what was do you reckon the big step after like were you in a band or?
Yeah, so around that time, 16, 17, I think we started a band. Me, my mate Mika, my mate Minnie, and my mate Alec started a band. It must have been when we were in year 11. It's bird flu, what I have at the moment, so
Bird
look,
flu.
Look forward
Is
to
that
that.
is that contagious?
I hope so.
Oh no, that means I'm gonna be sick. Sorry, work. I can't come into work.
Work. What work?
Let's not talk about what work, man. But yeah, so what were you 17 just when you're finishing at high school?
Well, yeah, no. So that was year 11. We had a band for all of year 11,
Okay.
and we played at like youth centers, all across Sydney. We played at the Metro
Did you?
for some competition. That was the last gig I remember we played. It's called Emergenza, and you had to pay to like get into this competition and sell tickets.
It was like
it was
your shot. Did you ever
essentially
hear
like a
Your Shot?
scam. Your Shot, the DJing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same
They
thing.
still do that.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I was gonna do that, bro. Like learn
Temperature?
to DJ that way, maybe. But I kind of understand how to DJ now. But yeah, maybe Temperature.
True.
Who's
so
Temperature? Not me.
Oh shit! Yeah. No. What? So yeah. So you enter this comp with your band. Did you just win?
No, we did the first heat and we got through to the next heat, and then the next heat was at the Metro, and it was like the gig that ended our career. It was just like, I remember the last moment that happened was my mate was doing a solo and he put the wrong effect on his pedal and it just sounded like shit. And we just went off the stage so defeated and were like, fuck this, and we just never played again.
No way. So just from that experience, you guys.
Yeah, well, we were like, we're not that good. Like, that sucked. We got defeated by that, and then they, like, two of them started, like, a band with some other people from the Northern Beaches, like a heavier band, and I just kept producing and writing songs in my room, and eventually those two that joined that band, I literally got my old band back to do some Zepha shows when I was first starting out, so I had an EP launch, and I got them all back together.
True.
And we played the Captain Cook Hotel. It was actually like it was a good gig.
And how long ago are we talking about?
That would have been like 5 years ago, 6
Okay.
years ago maybe. It was like the very start, which was like, it was trippy, like having them playing, like 10 years later, playing my tracks.
True.
It's not heaps different because like I was the one writing the songs back then.
Even when you were in the band, you were writing the songs. And
Yeah, there was like one song that wasn't written by me, and it was a bit of a mess.
You always like to take control of things.
Someone's got to do it, bro.
Yeah.
There's usually always like a prime
person.
that makes the songs, like. But I mean, like, I don't know. Watching the Beatles write their music together is pretty cool. Watching
True,
it,
I
how
don't think-
collaborative they would do it. But there's always like usually like a main songwriter. But they're all like good musicians. My mates, like.
And then what happened after the band? So like what between year 12 and you
YouTube
just
covers.
became like just a solo artist, right? Because you haven't been in
Yeah.
a band since then.
Nah, so I wasn't even playing like gigs. I was literally just making shit and chucking it on YouTube. So I do like
Covers.
acoustic covers where I just do live covers, and I do like produced covers of like Bring Me the Horizon songs and like Panic at the Disco and like Bon Iver, like.
Still like
A bunch
punk
of
rock
different
then,
stuff.
hey.
Nah, just like still kind of on the punk rock thing, but also like Bon Iver is not punk rock at
Don't know who
all.
that
Like
is.
Maroon 5, I've done one.
Oh, okay. More pop songs.
Bon
then.
Iver is like folky, like Do you know
Pop?
Skinny Love? Nah, not really pop, bro. You should look up Bon Iver. They have a song called Flume, and that's why Flume named himself Flume.
No way. Okay, interesting.
And
I'll
it's such
take
a
a look.
nice song.
Yeah. Wow.
I love her on the flume. It's enough. Yeah, I don't know. It's a yeah.
And
Only love is on the flume. Yeah, it's a good song.
so,
Folk.
so you started singing when you were 14. You said.
Yeah,
And like,
I
did
remember the
you? Because like,
first.
I don't understand. I don't really understand how like the whole singing thing works. Where it's like
Just
when
like
you start.
open your mouth.
I know that, but like when you start, like when you started to sing, then did you already know you had a voice, or when did you start to take it seriously? Were you just
Fuck no, bro.
terrible at
I
the
sucked. The
beginning?
first gig that I ever did was like it wasn't even a gig. It was like music night, right? So
Using
like
that what in high school?
when would have been I was 15 and we sung Ariel. We played Aerials by Systems of a Down, right? And it's like I think my voice is fucked at the moment, but if people know the song, it's like Aerials or like much higher. I can't like my voice is fucked at the moment, and I just sung it like this: Aerials in the sky when you like that's better pitch than
What
you
you
know. It
could
was just
sing by
like
then?
you actually have to project and like sing the pitch. It took me like fucking like so long to become the singer I am today, man. Like it's not an overnight thing.
Yeah, true. So
It's like a
at the beginning
muscle.
you couldn't work. I mean, sorry, you couldn't sing.
Couldn't work. I didn't want to work. I had a job though.
So when you were 14, you couldn't sing, but but it was the passion that you wanted to, pursue your life in.
Well, it just made sense, man. Like I was like writing songs and singing them. I was always like, I'd make a beat and then I'd put the vocals down. So it just made sense to like, or I guess before I was producing, I was the singer of the band and the first like so that one was the first like gig. Does this have water in it? We did another music night the next year, maybe like 6 months later.
How old were you at this point?
Probably like so I was 15. I was 16 at the next one, maybe.
Wow.
Like maybe not even. And we sung "Deliver Me from Evil," "Deliver Us from Evil" by Bullet for My Valentine. So still on the like the fucking punk. And we like practiced that more. We practiced it over and over in my mate's garage. Like shout out Alec or Sonny Grin is his artist name now. And we just did it and did it and did it and like we fucking nailed it, man. Like and my singing was like much better,
Sure.
but still like yeah.
Pretty terrible.
No, not pretty terrible, but just not what it is now, man. Like, cause it's a muscle. Like your voice is a muscle,
Okay.
and you can train it. And like the reason that I, you know, don't want to sound like too egotistical, but like I can sing a lot of different kind of styles now, and it's because I've just gone through each style and just done so many, like sung it for so long, like it, and just got the muscle memory and like then moved on to a different style and then tried that and then tried this. Like
Yeah. Wow.
I was a screamer in the band when we had a band as well. Like
Screamo music.
yeah, like
Yeah. Fuck. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So like at the beginning you couldn't sing, but then yeah, like you trained the muscle and
you
then
just keep going.
and then
Yeah.
what? So you said you had coaching
I had
lessons, singing
so my
lessons, or-
guitar teacher. I was like, oh, I want to start singing, and so he started teaching me singing, and he was like a pretty shit singer. Like he was a really technically proficient guitarist. Like he was really good, but he just like lacked like that like thing, man. Like, I don't know, the X factor or like passion or like he was really good, but he just didn't like move you when he played. Like he
True,
was just
okay.
like. And then he taught me to, and he couldn't sing that well either, but he taught me a few things, I guess. And then I remember, bro, like, got to a point where he's like, well, like, kind of, like, I don't think I could teach you anything anymore, man. So, like, it's been real. And I just kind of shook my hand and I was like,
It's still in high school though. Right?
okay, yeah. And then I told my mum I was still going for a bit, so she'd give me money and I'd just, like, pocket it, buy lollies or whatever.
Oh no way.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, mum, if you watch this.
you're a bad boy, man.
Bad bitch.
Stealing when you were young, man.
Which, yeah, you know, come a long way.
Come
But
on,
yeah,
listen, man.
so then after that, we got this vocal coach that I had for like, not for like I'm gonna try and watch how many times I say the word like, bro. It's such a filler, but
You
for
do say it a
about
lot.
6 months. 6 months.
Yeah.
I not even like 3 months. I went to this bloke up the road, like around the corner in Belrose, and he was a actual proper vocal coach that had coached all these people, and he'd play piano and I'd do the scales, and we'd do like we'd do theater like songs with like lots of different contrasting
Theater
parts,
like
like
songs,
yeah, like da 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 da, like, and he'd full
Okay,
play
yeah.
the piano, and we'd do bits from like, what is it, someone's the Technicolor Rain Jacket, or like Phantom of the Opera, like actual
Wow.
songs. And then he got sick and eventually died, so I only did about like 6 lessons with him, but I learned a bit from him.
No way, he died what after teaching
Yeah, he
you
was an
in a
old
sense?
bloke, so he'd had a whole career. He was a
You killed him,
broadcaster,
bro.
and yeah, he was like, "You're singing so bad." But yeah, it was good. He was good, and then since then, nothing.
And since okay,
And
true.
I was 16 then, so
So you haven't had
14 years I've just
coaching
been doing
lessons,
it
you
on
haven't
my
had
own.
singing lessons at all for the past fucking a lot.
15
Yeah.
years at least.
I mean, you're not 31, but yeah, true.
Yeah, well, I was learning singing, not math.
Yeah, true. Wow. Okay. And then you just learned yourself how
Yeah.
to sing by trying
Just
out.
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Just doing different styles and working it out.
And then
Yeah.
yeah. So what? Between you were 20 and to now though, so you've just been working on yourself,
Yes.
like developing new musics and stuff. When was your first EP?
So I guess it was in like 2016. I released an EP.
Yeah, there's juice on this side, man.
Fucking dying, bro. Like, I'm just coming out of like a cold. Shout outs to, or big ups. Give them big ups or shout outs.
Big ups, I guess.
Big ups to Nudie Juice, who make the best juice.
They're actually pretty good pulp free, man. Or no, like without
Pulp free, yeah. Fucking skip the bullshit.
Yeah, who wants fucking pulp, eh?
So where were we before I almost choked on my own throat?
I think you were telling us, yeah, about how like you didn't.
Oh,
have
first EP,
Yes, first EP.
2016.
Yeah, okay.
Zepha.
So this is a few
here.
years already after high school and.
Yeah, this is like 26 or something.
Yeah, true.
What?
And then
What's the fucking year now? 6 years ago. I'm 29 now, so
23.
I was 23 when I dropped the Here EP, which was produced by my mate and myself, like my mate Marcus Bridge, who's the front man of North Lane. And he was kind of like my older brother. We both kind of went through a period where he was almost living at my house. We just hang out, smoke a bunch of weed, and like make music or talk about music and talk about production and listen to bands and watch music videos.
So this is just before you dropped the EP. You were hanging out a lot with him. So
He always was
so he
like-
was that go-to guy.
He was like my production mentor or like slash big brother figure. And so we were like mates for like 6 or so years before we did this. And I was like, hey man, like I think I'm gonna be a rapper. Like I've got these songs together. Do you
You wanna
want
be
to
a
produce
rapper
it? Do you want to produce it for me? And he was like, yeah, man, sure. And I showed him the songs. He was like, yeah, okay. So then over the next 6 months or so, we just did like sessions at his place. And he'd like work on the beat that I'd sent him. And then
True, because you would
I'd
make
come
the
over
beat.
and yeah, I'd make the songs and then I'd send him the stems and then he would recreate things. And my throat's fucked, eh?
Singing too much.
Yeah, bro. I don't know how fucking good orange juice is for sore throats, but it's not helping mine. It's not sore, it's just because I'm like talking heaps.
Yeah, is it just
You
itching?
could cut
Is
this.
it
This is not
irritating?
good content. You could cut this shit.
No, this is the best, man. This is you being, this is Seth being real,
Cut
man.
the crap, man. Like, cut the pulp out of the juice, man.
Pulp out of the juice. That's right, man. Now, also, I remember you saying that like Lil Dicky had like a lot of influence as well, because you just mentioned that you wanted to be a rapper.
Around that time, I was
so
listening
just around
to
that time
heaps
you
of Lil Dicky
yeah.
and Hobson.
Hobson, yeah. What was his songs like? Ill Mind?
Wordy rappers.
Or like
Ill Mind of Hobson 9 is the... No, it's like 5 is the one, I'm pretty sure. It's heaps like reminiscent of Eminem. Early Eminem, and it's just like bars, bro. Hobson's a G. And he produced all his own shit as well. And
No way, did he?
mix and master. I was like, I like people that were doing it all.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm like aspiring to do that. So I always found it was really cool when artists were making the music, recording it, producing it. I think he even mixed masters.
So when you were listening to Little Dicky though, so did you come like after you were listening to him a lot, were you heavily influenced in like more comedic type of like rap songs, or you know what I mean,
Kind
taking on
of.
funny kind of perspectives, or
Yeah, like I did write a few like that, but I didn't really use them.
true you
I
didn't use the
like, you
songs to
know,
write?
I wrote this Here EP, and then I had another EP that was going to come after that. It was more just like fast bars.
Okay.
Just like
Like
doing whatever
like
with your flow
Hobson's.
because you were writing it in the tiniest increments. So I'd literally record like half a phrase at a, but you know, like half a phrase, half a phrase, half a phrase, so I could put all of my energy and like focus into making it fit really like well. So it's like you're essentially like, instead of being like, oh, here's the whole thing, I'm gonna lay it down, literally like paving it brick by brick and having it so intricate
Paving
that
it
all the
as you
flows
go.
flip and this and that. And then by spending so much time like creating like that, it becomes like kind of like muscle memory. So then I'd be able to just then write like that without having to do it chopped up. Does that make sense?
A little bit. What do you mean you were able to write without being chopped up? So
So
you
it's
just
like
so like you start the song and you finish it kind of
I
thing.
start the song, and instead of having to do it then bit by bit to make it heaps intricate, I already knew how to do it intricately in my muscle memory, so I could just write it and do a bigger phrase, like do a whole verse with the intricacy of cutting it up and writing it like that, but I didn't have to cut it up and write it like that. I could just do it.
True. And I guess that kind of like changes though, right? Because like, were you always that type of writer?
Yeah, I was. And then I guess you get to a point where you don't need to be as much. I still do that, and that's like a good production tool when I'm producing other artists.
True. Because like when you write, where you kind of like, let's say you come up with this line and then you kind of base like a whole verse from that, or
Yeah.
no? I was just like very intuitively like you go to record a track and you just be like, ah, yeah, this.
So sometimes it's like make the beat freestyle. See what comes out. If you get any good melodies, any good phrases, I'll usually get something that I can grab onto, and then I'll like construct a verse out of
Yeah.
that.
Wow. Do you still do that now? with
Yeah,
your
I still
tracks?
do that. Definitely just make the beat, press record. Usually when I'm making the beat, something starts already coming to my head. I'm like, okay, I need to press record before I lose it.
True. So even like let's say now when you're writing a track, you would write the beat, and then even like how's that process like for you
Drums
writing it?
first.
True. Okay, so you do have a
Usually,
specific
usually
pattern
like
that you
it
follow now.
changes.
Okay.
It changes though, because like you might just get inspired by a new synth sound and be like, okay, pew, 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 and then drums.
Because your music now is very synth driven, or you do have
Oh, it just depends, man. Because sometimes I'll pick up the guitar.
first. Okay. Yeah.
It just really depends. Like,
But like
what?
usually what drums first and then
Yeah, like a good like way to do things is drums first, so you can get the like
Yep.
lay the bass line down and then chords, or like drums then chords and then have the bass line fit to the chords, like. So yeah, it just depends. And sometimes like a whole song just comes to you. Like I remember I was taking a shit one time when I was like 20, living in DY with my mom, and this song just came to my head, and I was like, oh fuck, like
you're right about
wiped
this.
my ass and then ran straight to my computer and like recorded it. Just like tried to remember it all. Like keep,
What
okay.
song is that?
It's called Super Saying, just Super Saying, and it's like on my old SoundCloud. It's like accessible, bro.
True. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So like okay, so now that you have the beat done, like I know you said that it just depends, but let's say that you haven't come up with any sort of lyrics for it. Like how do you
Hitting
start
writer's
that?
block.
Yeah.
So I've also like one of the first songs I released was called Writer's Block. And I just like string together like funny, weird things that didn't really make sense, or like just write about anything, man. Like anything at all. Like, okay, you've got a phrase. That's why the improv thing helps, because you might spit out a random word, or you look around you, and then that's inspires the next phrase, and the next phrase inspires the next phrase. But that's when I think concept writing comes into play. Now looking back, not having anything to just come out, then you can go, okay, well, what do I want to actually write about? And then you can construct it that way. I want to write about like sunshine and
Yeah, so
lollipops, or like I
it
want
kind
to
of
write
makes it. Do you reckon easier
gives you a
or
goal. Doesn't necessarily mean it's easier because you might go, I want to write about that, but how do I write about it in a way that's like quite create like artistic or metaphoric, or when it's coming out of you really easily and stuff. That's nice, but you have to work for it sometimes, and that's when concept writing you have to work a bit harder because you know what you want to write. It's not coming out of you really easily. It still can be intuitive.
yeah?
And now I think it's just about, like, I'm at the stage now where I've done fucking, I don't know how many hours I've spent writing songs, but it's fucking heaps. Like, the last decade I've spent most of my time writing songs.
Yeah. When was that time though for you? Like, let's say when you were younger or in high school, or whatever. When you were like, this is actually what I want to do.
It was I think it was when I started doing Zepha shit.
Okay.
I was like, this is it. Hey, like, I started recording when I was 17, 18, got better, and was like, always doing it, but I was like gardening and for a job and then working, in retail and stuff. And I was always just doing it, like waiting so I could get home so I could go record. And then it got to the point where I was doing Zepha, my Zepha project, and then just doing more and more music and just going, you know what, fuck it. This is what I want to do. I'm going to chase this. And I'm like just never going to stop because it's just, it kept me focused and motivated. And I just like kept going with it and have made money and friends and family and
From that.
met lovers and, started different hobby. Like I take photos and videos and shit now. Like it all came from me just going, I'm going to commit to this. And then I
Yeah.
work for a charity trying to inspire like kids to do that too. Just start like in a direction and just,
Path.
and you never know, you have a stepping stone this way, stepping stone that way, but at least you've got like a common direction that you're heading in.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Wow. So what? How old were you though when like
When I
you
worked
started
that
doing
out.
your Zephyr stuff? Was
So
it
maybe like 20, early 20s.
Okay, that's when you're like, okay,
I was like, I'm
this
going to do
is-
this.
Yeah, yeah, like I really enjoy doing this. Well, you
I think I'm good at this. I enjoy doing this. I'm going to do it.
try to make money from this in
Yeah.
a sense, like make this my job.
Make this my job and go out for the dream,
100%.
You got to go for your
Were
dreams.
you creative in another way when you were younger, like before you started singing and?
I used to
playing?
like just draw shitty cartoons.
Okay, was that a
Um,
passion of yours as well, though? No, you were just like.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I was always drawing stuff. That was another outlet.
Yeah, and how were your parents?
Just not as good as it.
like when you were
Not as good at
like, I want to make music,
My dad was at the start always like, you got to fucking get a job, man. Like,
This
he's
is
like, I
like
remember
during
having
high
so
school?
many discussions and arguments with him when I lived with him. Like, it's like, yeah, that's good, but you need to have a job. Like, do you know how many, like, I'm like, I'm going to make it, Dad. I'm going to be huge. Like, it's like, yeah, I know, like, that you think that, but I've seen a lot of people, like, go for things and then it fail. And like, so get a job or, like, just watch out until eventually it got to the point where he was seeing, like, the type of music that I was writing and then performing, and he went, oh, fuck, I actually think I get it now. He could see I was writing songs that were touching him, and he was, like, oh, this
Sure.
is,
How old
you're
was
actually
this?
fucking good. So, like, now he writes it on my card, like,
I'm just gonna move my camera up.
yeah, cool. Like, like he writes on my birthday cards or whatever, like, keep going for it, you're going to make it, or like you have, it's been good. Like, he's always been very supportive. Like, a moment just changed. Then he started wanting it for me. And like, we always had an agreement when I was like younger in high school that if I ever wanted an instrument, if I saved up for half of it, my parents would buy the other half.
Yeah.
So they always supported it.
Yeah, true. But your dad was more the one
was
that was like, you
just
need
a
to get a
bit-
job.
Yeah, just a little bit apprehensive, or
But your mum was supportive. She was like, oh, if this is what you want to do, I will support you. And like,
kind of. Yeah, I mean, my
was
mum's
it?
just my mum. Like, we had, like, we went through a lot when, like, they split up and stuff together. I lived with my mum, and she was just kind of preoccupied, had some, like, mental health, like, suffered from depression and stuff. So, like, she was on her own, battling her, I was trying to work out where I wanted to be in life, and she was probably doing the same with, like, a mental health thing, So, where I know she supports it, but she's not really on the journey as much as my dad is.
Now,
Now, yeah,
or
because
like
he's like,
always,
send
or
me the songs,
always
and like
is.
I'll show her songs and stuff when I'm there and music videos, and she's lovely and supportive. Like, it's not that she's not supportive, but my dad is more hands-on supportive. Like, when's your next gig? Or come and like, are you gonna play there? And what about there? And like,
True, but your mum's not like that. Since,
not so
okay.
much. No, my mum's just like living her life.
How old were you when your parents split, and did that impact your music
17.
career in a sense? Did you
Yeah, I
write
mean, I
songs
wrote a
about your?
100%, man. Like one of the first songs like from the EP I released. It's called Fight. So if you go to Spotify and like look up Zepha, Zepha, here is the EP, and there's a song called Fight on it, which is about like my parents splitting up, and it's like it's rap, so I got to say a lot. That's the thing I like about rap. I don't really do a lot of it anymore, but it gives you a lot of time. It's like a 5-minute song, and it's just like starts with like age 14, stepped on his scene with this 6-string and his skinny jeans, like, and then goes through like problems in school and like my girlfriend's parents hated me and shit, and then my parents are splitting up and my mum's in hospital, and so like so I've definitely written songs about it. That's the main one. It's pretty deep.
From
It's
like,
a pretty deep song, you know.
really?
Like you get to learn a bit about me,
How old were
what
you
I
when you
went through
wrote
then.
that?
22, 23.
Oh, okay, true. So this is also just for Zepha then, right? Yeah, I mean it's just you
Yeah, it's for
rapping.
Zepha. Yeah,
So this
but
is already
that-
after you've decided to. But this is like.
it was one of the songs that
But
I
this
was
is already
writing,
when
and I
you're
was like,
23. Your parents
yeah.
split up when you were 17. So this is already after
It
that.
took
but
like
you
a decade to be fully healed from that, I reckon.
True. What do you mean by like?
Maybe
I
slightly
know,
less,
I
but
know, I know. I've read and I always watch videos about like trauma, especially when you're a kid, and they say like, we don't see it, but especially when our parents split up, but we think that we're kind of responsible for that as well in a sense, and you kind of always blaming yourself. So when you say that, it took like a decade to go through all that, like, what did you think that
it
kind of
just
put you
kind of
through?
like, broke my mum. Like it's like not pointing any fingers or anything about how it all happens. Like I think the divorce rate's like 80% or something. Like it's just I don't know. It's hard to stay together, but it just had effects on all of us. Like, and I feel like even my sister didn't even really mourn it until her actual family that she started to build, she split with her partner and stuff. So like even for her, like this year, there's still feelings. She went, oh, it triggered her from like 10 years ago because she didn't really deal with it. I was kind of a rock. I feel like I kept kind of everything together. Like my mum was having a hard time. My dad was too, also in a new relationship. But then feeling really guilty for splitting our family up and stuff. And I was just kind of in the middle. My sister fucked off to England. And then I was just there, like in the middle.
That was your sister's way, do you reckon, of dealing with this
Yeah,
situation?
well, that's
She just had to
why
get
she
away?
couldn't, because she wasn't there. That was always the plan for her to go away.
Oh,
but
okay.
it just
So she
kind
was
of
planning to go away, and then they decided to, because your sister's a bit older than you, right?
yeah, she's 3 years. So she's like,
So she would have been in like finished high school, like maybe going.
yeah,
to
she
uni
was
or
like
something.
the time that you go overseas, you know, where I was
So
like,
she was planning for it, and then
yeah, that
so
was
she didn't
always
really
the
have
plan.
to deal with everything that was going down as your parents.
Not
split
so
up.
much, no.
Yeah.
Like initially, and then within a year or maybe after a year, she was off to.
Yeah, wow.
Europe
Because
and
I guess
England.
like I don't know if you want to talk much about it or like
I
it's
don't
up to you
mind.
with what you want to open up. But
I'm
like,
an open book.
the whole split up within your parents, it wasn't like a pretty one. Like it wasn't as simple as it could be. Like it was pretty heavy. For
No, it
both
wasn't
your
like
parents.
okay, see you later. Like,
Yeah, okay.
It was
Pretty full on
there
for
was like
both.
levels to it, and it just kind of like I guess it just shook everyone. I just think it had different effects on everyone.
Yeah, true.
And I just my mom I think struggled the most maybe. So like I stayed with her until I moved out of her apartment and moved in with my girlfriend and a friend when I was like 21 or something.
Yeah.
But I lived with her and kind of like held space for her, and that's
Yeah.
kind of like what I always did, even when I was like 3, man. Like when my mum was depressed as shit and like couldn't get out of bed, like I'd be like, "It's gonna be all right, mum."
When
like,
you were
it's
3?
fine." Yeah, 3 or 4. Yeah,
True. So wow.
take her tissues and shit.
Do you remember that though?
Yeah, and she remembers that. I remember it. She brings it
You
up.
remember when you were like 4 years
4
old?
years old,
and,
yeah.
like-
I can remember. And my sister would sometimes push me in. Because she couldn't deal with all the emotion. So
And your
she'd be
sister was like 7 and 6.
yeah. And I'd go in and be like, it's all right, and like console my mum as like a 4-year-old. So I've always like had this like groundedness to me, I think, and like emotional capacity. So
Yeah, wow. I can't imagine how it would be to be such a young age and, somewhat feel not responsible, but having to,
just wear the
yeah, just making sure, like holding space, you know what I mean? Like bringing out the tissues to be like, oh, it's okay. When you're like 4 years old and you know what I mean? You're meant to be having fun playing with whatever and like not having to think about like real, like older,
life
like,
shit,
yeah,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like the
But
shit
it's
that you go
happening.
through when you're like older, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
Do you reckon that's impact you in, I mean, it's hard to tell now, but like,
Not in like a damaging way. I don't know. I've always felt like just was all right with it. Like, and even now, like when I am talking to people that are going through a hard time, like I can like just sit with them and try and help them unravel how they feel, and So I think it's helped in a positive way. It's not necessarily ideal, and then that continued. Like, so when I was living with her, and I was like 19 or whatever, and she was like depressed and would. I just found out later, like, suicidal and stuff. And she'd be like, like, if I didn't have you, if you weren't around, like, I wouldn't be alive. So, like, I'd wear that. And that was kind of heavy, but
that's when you were 19.
19 or something, yeah.
But was it a heavy as in a good thing?
I mean, like,
Because
it's
you kind of
not...
felt like, oh,
For
yes.
a while, I felt like, fuck, that's pretty heavy. I was super, like the fact that my mum's still alive, because I could hold the space or, support her. It was just like a bit of a mess. Like, she just wanted support because we lived next door to my grandpa. We built this huge fucking house and he lived on one side. It was a duplex and we lived on the other. And then, like, my dad moved out and my grandpa would go see my dad and have coffee, which is super, super fine. Like, it was just, she always had
Grandpa,
problems
as in which
my
side?
mum's
Yeah.
dad.
Okay.
So she'd go have coffee with him. And then my mum would like run into them at the local shops and just be like, what the fuck? Like, just because she didn't feel like he was supporting her as much. But in his eyes, her dad was like, I can see him. He was like my son, which he was. But my mum didn't know that they had coffee every day when she was at work because my dad works from home. Every day, like, he'd come around and have coffee with my dad. So they were like mates, But she only sees them at the shops and runs in and is emotional and so, like, had this really hard time with him all her life anyway, she says. So it was just hard. So that was a bit of a mess. And it was just a bit of a mess for a while. And then, so, like, this is funny. Like, I had, like, strict kind of rules until, like, I couldn't play video games on weeknights or watch TV. I had to do my homework, and then I'd be like, can I go play, like, street hockey with my mate David? Like, I've done my homework, and then I was allowed to go do it. Couldn't play video games till the weekend.
This is when you're living at your mum's house. And
This was
is
when with
after-
both of them, living
Okay.
together all the way up until they split up. And then I could do whatever the fuck I wanted. My dad moved out. I was just, like, going out on weeknights.
So
I was
your
17.
dad was the strict one that
Yeah, but,
brought
like, my
on
mum
that.
might have been a bit too. But, yeah, my dad was always, like, the strict one.
Shit,
then-
what? You couldn't play video games until the weekend? Is that what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess
it was
that,
like rules,
yeah.
bro. Yeah.
I think,
thought he was doing the right thing.
yeah, of course. I think, like,
It's all like
like-
from love. Like, he's like, no, you do.
well,
your
it's
work.
obviously they like,
Fucking high school's not that important though. Like, you find this out later.
like I guess they get caught up on the idea that they think they know what's best for you, but
Yeah, and he works in
And it's all
compliance, bro.
patterns.
So like,
when
like
you say
following
that,
the
like,
rules.
once your parents split up, then you could do whatever the fuck
I
you
just
want.
started doing
I
whatever
felt,
I want. My mates would come over on weeknights. My mum would be in a mental hospital, like healing herself, and I was living in this huge empty house, man, like on my own. So my mates would come over. So I've got this tattoo, bro, like of Link, because my mates would come over. And we'd like, smoke some weed and play like hours of Super Smash Bros.
True, and you always use Link.
And I wouldn't always use Link, but when I did use Link, they would be like, oh, fuck, because I'd fucking whoop their ass
that's
every
like,
time.
That's like your hero player. Like,
Yeah,
whatever
so
you wanna call
they
it.
knew
Yeah.
if I was playing Link, then I wanted to win, so
Yeah.
they'd be like, all right, fuck.
When we
So
went
then
and-
I got him tattooed on me when I was like 20.
When we went to
Finally.
play 1989 and we were playing Super Smash, were you using Link?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
But Big Link. This is Toon Link from Wind Waker. He's the one in. He's out in the Wii version, and then everyone from there.
True. Okay. I mean, I'm not too. Yeah, I'm not into deep into those
Smash.
type of video games. No, I mean, I love Smash because I remember playing it, when I was younger and stuff. But
Wind
I'm not
Waker
into
is
it.
sick too, though. Anyway, bro, I think it's on Switch.
True.
But yeah, it's from the Super Smash Bros. That's why I got that. But like
How old were you then? Then, like when you were just at home
from
and
17.
True. Okay.
So like my last 2 years of high school.
Wow. And
Yeah.
how did you
I wanted
do
to drop
in high
out.
school? You did want to drop out?
Yeah, I was like, I was dating this chick and her parents kind of fucking hated me. She was like, good girl, and then started
come
dating a
out.
year above dude that like, I got suspended from school when I was 15 for having weed on me for like 20 days or something.
No way. You got caught with weed.
I got caught with weed, yeah, because some fucking the guy in my year that had little man syndrome. You know how there's always one little guy that's like trying to prove himself and like.
Do you think that's
He
me?
told the school because I was being an idiot. I was like,
Do I have
"Oh,
little man syndrome?
I got weed," and he didn't like that I was doing that because he probably didn't feel like the cool kid or like I don't know what it took away from him, but he was like, "I'll show him," and then told the principal and shit, and I got caught with weed on me and I got
But
suspended.
you're the one that was like, I've got weed.
Yeah, I was like, I thought I was cool. Like,
Were you selling the weed? No.
no,
Okay.
no.
You
I just had it, and I was like,
'Cause
because
you were a
we'd go,
stoner.
maybe we'd go after school. I was barely
This is
getting
you in
high.
year 9.
Yeah, I was barely getting high, though. Like it was just the very start, and then we got caught, and then we were like, "Fuck!" I got 20 days or 15 days, and my mate Mika got like 10 days or something, and then we were like, we're never gonna smoke weed again, like no, like this like ruined our life.
Worst
And what we would
experience
do, like when we were suspended, we'd speak and we'd be like, oh, I'm going to the beach with my family at Curl at like 11, and then he'd tell his family like, oh, why don't we go to the beach, we'll go to Curl, and then we'd like walk out for a surf and like, oh, there's Mika, and then we go for a surf together. Just like planned that shit
during
our suspension. We weren't meant to be hanging out or seeing each other. And then I remember like, we're not smoking weed ever again because the whole experience was just the worst, man. I had barely any weed, but my mum was scared that like we were going to get like drug dealers knocking on our door being like, oh, like you caught us. Because I remember the cops called me and I was like, I don't know what I said to them.
just
But yeah,
snitched.
I didn't snitch.
Okay.
I made up some bullshit.
Who did you get it at?
Yeah, that kind of thing. But then, where was I getting to?
Well, we were
We're never
going
gonna smoke weed again.
Okay.
And then, like a month after that, he calls me. I was on the way home from touch footy on a Friday night, and he's like, I was in the car with my dad, so I was like trying to be quiet or whatever. When he said this, he's like, "We're not quitting, man. I just found like half an ounce of weed in my parents' cupboard," and I'm like, "Oh shit!"
No way. What? So these parents smoked the reefers?
Yeah.
Oh man,
His
fuck,
parents
bro.
are funny cunts. I love them.
No way.
I don't know if
Fuck.
Virginia, John, if you watch this, I love you guys. You always
Shit.
like the cool parents.
So like, so between what? Yeah, 16, 17, 18. You're like your last 2 years of high school. You didn't have parents there, like.
Yeah, I was
so your
free
support
roaming.
group was
and
what, like.
Every
your
now, my
friends?
dad would every now and then get angry at me, like, "Are you doing the things?" But yeah, my support group was like my friends.
Yeah. Wow. And have you spoken to like a psychologist or like a counselor about your?
Yeah.
Did
Started
you have
singing?
to go see someone?
Not
Especially when
then,
you were at
man.
home
I
by
was
yourself?
just like, wasn't affecting me heaps. I was just got to do whatever I wanted. Like, didn't seem that bad. I've talked to a counselor this year about it.
Because it's a massive contrast, right? Like if you're living in a house where you're like with a lot of like restrictions in a sense, with like strict parents, like let's say,
Boundaries
yeah, like a lot of boundaries.
Yeah,
you're not allowed to do
like-
this, not allowed to do that. And then when it gets flipped upside down, and it's like you're free to do anything. Like, did you have like a couple weeks, a month where you were just doing crazy shit? Like,
I wasn't going too fucking crazy. It was mostly just the boys coming around to smoke weed and play video games, have
true.
beers.
So like your
sometimes.
house was the spot. You know what I mean? To go
Yeah.
get high and shit with your boys. Yeah, true.
Yeah, pretty much, man. People would come, all the mates would come around to mine.
Yeah,
like weekly,
Yeah,
a few times a week.
daily kind of thing.
And that when,
almost.
yeah, like, so when I was hanging out with Marcus, who produced my EP. Like that's
This
when
is
he was coming over
when
heaps.
okay, and that's why
And
that's why you say he was kind of living with you because
and he, yeah, like the older brother thing. Like he was just over almost every night. We'd have sleepovers. I mean, as well as like 18, and once things started, I like got a bit older, and
yeah,
because he also had, stuff happen with his family as well, and it was just nice. We had a kind of a similar story.
yeah,
Parents affected by mental health, so he would be in my house, and my mum wasn't there. It was just like, we just chat and.
yeah. Okay, so you kind of had him all the time in a sense.
Well,
Like
him and like
we
I
go
had a
through-
handful of mates in my year, and him, and yeah, like we didn't do anything too crazy, but just like smoke a bunch of weed and play
Yeah.
video games and. Like, but yeah, it was just being able to do whatever I wanted, though. It was like quite freeing. It was like pretty cool, actually. But I wasn't out like breaking shit or being like a fucking idiot.
yeah.
Most of the time.
Or
I
even
don't
like
think-
what about like trying out different substances though, like because
Nah, not really.
they say weed is like the
Gateway.
like gateway drug, but I see alcohol as more of the gateway drug because once you're
Yeah.
intoxicated with alcohol, you're more not eager, but I guess
Well-
more open to try different things.
I didn't try anything else till I was 18. At an 18th, I had a pinger.
Yeah.
Towards one of the end of the years, and then like kissed 2 girls when I had a girlfriend, like gurning my face off.
Well, true.
That was the experience. Like
you kissed
just
two
dancing
girls
so hard and then kissed 2 chicks
when you had a girlfriend.
when I had a girlfriend.
So you cheated on your misso. Did you tell her that? Is that why you broke up?
No, I told her, and she was sad for a bit, and then it was like,
Whatever.
move
When
on.
did
It's not
you-
like I
Yeah.
had sex with them, but
When did your mum come back, or when did you have a parent figure back at home?
well, so my mum would kind of go a few months at a time, and she'd be in the hospital just like trying to get better and get to a stable place mentally. And then she'd come out and be like, oh, have a month or two, and then be like, oh, I think I need to go back in. I'm not feeling so good. And I'd be like, okay, and visit her once a week or something. And my grandpa was next door too if I needed anything, but I was pretty okay.
Was your grandpa like harsh on you in any sense? And is he
Not really.
is that
I think he was
grandpa-
always worried, and but I was pretty okay.
Yeah. I mean, you weren't like a loose cannon that people were like.
I
"Oh, we
wasn't
gotta
too
be worried
loose, but
about him."
my, the girlfriend I was dating at the time, her parents thought I was really loose, and I guess to them I probably was, but it's all about perspective.
Was it that granddad that you said dad was a pianist or no?
Yeah,
So
that's
was your
the
mum-
one. He was.
so
Yeah. That's who lives.
Yeah.
My dad's dad lived in Queensland.
Okay.
Or like northern New South Wales. So yeah, it was my grandpa on my mum's side.
Yeah,
Lived
that
next
was
to me.
more like.
If I
somewhat of
needed
an
anything,
artist.
I'd go around there for dinner on Tuesday nights or whatever. And
Yeah, so
than
because
that.
like, what were you doing like financially to support yourself during like end
well,
of
I
high
had
school?
a job since I was 14.
Who was paying rent?
We owned the house, so
Okay, what about utility bills and?
I didn't have to pay for them.
Okay, so like your dad was still providing in a sense. or,
Yeah,
like,
I mean he had to pay child support and
you were using that to pay kind of like for the.
yeah. I mean I
utilities.
didn't fucking do anything with
True,
the money.
okay,
I didn't
so-
get the money. It was just done.
So like it wasn't like a thing that was put on you. Whereas like okay, your mom.
no, it wasn't like go get a job.
and,
You
like,
need to
fuck,
do
I need
this.
to
It
pay
was
for this,
like
and you pay for that.
it was
Okay.
just like, oh, you need to like sort
Yeah.
yourself out a
So
bit.
like during school, you still kind of like, well, financially it was okay. Cause like, what about food? Like, who was cooking your meals? Like, who was preparing?
Well,
these meals? Who
yeah,
was paying
so-
for these meals? Who was buying these meals?
So I think what would happen, like so long ago now, like maybe like yeah, because we used to do fortnightly shopping, but I'm just trying to think about what happened in those times when my
Like,
mum
was
was
your
away for ages.
granddad,
Maybe
yeah.
my dad would bring some groceries around, and I'd go to my dad's for dinner like at least once a week and get fed.
What about the other weeks?
Make myself fucking easy mac,
Yeah. Okay.
toast, lots of toast.
Yeah.
Go to my girlfriend's for dinner quite a lot.
And you've like just for me, like to think about, having to do all of this. Like you're pretty much doing everything for yourself, right? Especially when you're
Yeah.
like 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
You're like late teens, kind of like, yeah, I guess you do have that bit of responsibility, but to be doing it every single day, and it kind of like when you feeling as if like everyone was walking out of your life, and then you felt so alone that you didn't have anyone. Because I would be like, I have to start cooking my own meals now. Like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. What's going on? What the fuck is this?
yeah, I mean, like obviously at that point, you would be the strong one, and you'd be like, yeah, I can do this, it's fine. But like, you don't
It's just
realize what it's affecting you mentally,
you
right? Like,
don't.
in like
But
the
I
like
was
long
just
term
enjoying the
effect.
freedom of being able to play video games or
Yeah.
like just do whatever.
Yeah,
So I was like,
just making the
okay,
best out of the situation.
100%.
that you
But
were
that's what
given.
I always try to do. Just make the best of the situation.
Well, I mean, since you had to console your mum when she was,
Yeah.
I mean, when you were like
If you
a
just see
toddler
the
almost, right?
yeah,
So you've
yeah,
always kind of had to be that person.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So even in relationships now, do you feel like you are the person?
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm
Right.
pretty solid.
Yeah.
Like able to
Well, just deal
100
with.
deal with other like partners' problems or like things they're going through. And they do the same for me, But I definitely think that I like to think I have a lot of capacity and it's something that I like to do to be able to be there. Not necessarily solve all your problems, but just be there for you.
Yeah. Just someone that can listen.
Someone that can listen and
Mm.
yeah. No, I'm not trying to like be like a knight in shining armor or anything, but just like hold space and
Yeah.
Well,
all
it's
the
gonna be
experiences
okay.
that
Like essentially, do what I did for my mum. Like it's gonna be okay. Here's a tissue. Like
here's a tissue for your issue.
here's a tissue for your issue.
So when did your mum come back, or did you move out to your dad's?
So she was
or-
just gone for like a couple months at a time, and then she'd come back for another 6 months or whatever. Maybe it might have been 3 times or something over a 2-year period that she was gone for like a few months.
Yeah, and then she'll come back for a few months, and then she had to go back.
Yeah.
But when did she just come back fully, or she didn't, and you had to move?
I don't
to
know. It
dad's?
might have even happened. Like, so we moved from my family home when I was 19.
Why was that?
Me and my mum. Well, the property settlement was done. The divorce was done.
But wasn't
So
your? But didn't
we
your
had to sell the
granddad
house.
own the house?
No. My parents owned the house. He owned his side. It's split. So
True. Okay,
he
and
lived
they
there
bought
another
the
few
other
years
one.
after. Yeah. Hold that note, bro. I gotta piss.
Okay. Yeah. So after your parents got divorced, separated. Yeah. So what? So there was a settlement of the house, and then you guys had to move out.
Yeah. So we sold the house when I was like 19.
Yeah.
Me and mum moved to like a 2-bedroom apartment in DY, which fucking sucked after living in like a 5-bedroom house, essentially on my own for a while. Like I had like lounge room, living room, swimming pool, backyard, my room, a room for making
A
music.
lot of space.
Yeah, like a spare room, my sister's room. I don't even think there was anything happening in that room. So like, like excess space. Probably why I like space so much now. Like so
Always
used to
looking
it.
for it. Yeah. And then living back with your mum full time, like, was that a shock in a sense after like doing whatever the fuck you want?
Nah, because it just changed. The dynamic changed. It's like I couldn't have heaps of people over all the time in DY. Like I'd have to like hide smoking weed, and it was harder to do that in an
Okay, 'cause you were still doing
apartment.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'd still have mates over sometimes. It was just completely different, man. You go from having the spot with like a house and a place out the back for kick-ons, and
True.
but what happened was, instead of my mum's being the kick-on place, like I'd go to my dad's. So even if I wasn't living there, I had my music set up at my dad's, so I'd make music from there. And he was out on weekends, so like he stays at his girlfriend's place on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays.
Yeah.
So I would just go to my dad's place,
you had to skip,
and that's where we would like
smoke the reefer,
smoke weed and like
the kick
after we go out to Manly or like go out in the city, and then we go back to my dad's place.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because you grew up in the northern beaches.
Yeah, Northern Bushes, Forestville.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I know we've probably spoken for an hour. And a little bit, and
Yeah.
like it just feels like we're just uncovering like who you
Yeah, just
like who
scratching
you
the
are.
surface.
Yeah, just been scratching the surface a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
on, like,
yeah, bro.
Who you are and like the stuff that you had to go through, I guess, when you were younger, and like
Yeah.
kind of put you. Do you think having the freedom though now, especially the time when you were at this 5-bedroom house and you just had it all for yourself, most
Mm.
likely for like a year or two. Did you think being so free kind of put you in a space where you could create more music as well?
Yeah, I think so. Like because I could stay up till you know, fuck
True.
o'clock
No one was there to tell
making
you it's time
tunes.
to go to
Yeah, like
sleep
dad
for
wasn't there to
school.
exactly. And you know, like it gets to the point
Wow.
where you're 18, and it's like you kind of do what you want when you're 18 anyway. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, just having the time and the place and the space, like, 'cause that was my dad's office that I made tunes in.
Yeah.
Like, so I had the space, I had the time, and just kept doing it, you know, and writing songs, some songs about what was going on, or just being able to
Could
outlet
you,
things,
can
even
you
through the
remember,
music.
like, if you were to think back, during those times, can you think back to a specific moment where you could see yourself not dealing too well with everything that was going on? Or like even having to speak to your friends about how you were dealing? Or do you
I
think
think,
like you've always held it pretty good?
you know, there was definitely times where it was like, you know, oh, this. It just times felt kind of dark, you know, like in a dream, how things seem a bit just dark, like your peripheries are just dark. It kind of just felt a bit like that, you know, like
Like
the
sometimes
house
when
was
we
just
watch like horror movies, right? Like
yeah,
you like maybe for a few days or a day you kind of have those like
yeah, just
vivid
everything's
dreams, or
like
you
a
kind of like
bit
always bad, like negative in a sense, or something bad is
yeah,
gonna happen.
just
So
feels
like
like a
there was
bit off
times,
sometimes, you know. But I had my friends most of the time.
yeah. But do you remember yourself talking to your friends about this?
Yeah, I mean, I would have had to have talked to them about it. Not all the time and stuff, but it definitely would have come up, you know,
Did you
because
ever
things were
feel
happening.
depressed or like feel like your parents were pushing themselves away from you, and you're like, why is this happening to me in a sense?
No, it was just kind of like everything I suppose was reactive. So then I'd go through times with my dad where he just thought I hated him. And I was like, no, I don't. And he'd be like, I know you hate me and shit. I'd be like, I don't hate you. You
Was it
say that
because
at
he
me.
thought that
Well,
he was the
he
reason
always
why
thought that he was
the reason why your
the
parents split up?
problem why, you know, the family had broken up and I was in this situation.
Yeah.
So like, I know you hate me and stuff. I was like, no, I don't hate you. You know, like, we should chill out a bit. And I'm kind of grateful that I got to have a bit of time being like an angsty youth, like without all the boundaries.
Yeah.
You know, like get to experience adulthood or like freedom a bit more because of this. You know, I
Yeah.
kind of see it as a blessing, as much as there was dark times and, you know, like not an ideal
And you grew up
vibe.
quicker, I guess, in a sense, right? Because you had to do
Definitely. I
everything
felt
for
like I
you
grew up. I feel like I gained wisdom and
through all
I could
that.
hold my shit together because of dealing with that exact like thing, story, whatever. Like the last 2 years of teenagehood
Yeah,
was
wow.
spent, you know, a lot on my own in a big house and just kind of piecing things together and being the rock for my mom. And like, I definitely felt like I grew up quick
Yeah, true.
because of that.
And there was no time though that you could see yourself being depressed.
I mean, there's got to have been at some points where
Mm.
I'm just like feeling a bit shitty, but you know, maybe I just distracted myself. But that's the thing, man. I always had music, so I honestly feel like it was therapy.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's no lyrics I'm writing down, I'm like getting these expressions out of my body.
Even if it's just the music that you're
Yeah,
making.
you know, even if it was like a heavy metal song or like you know, it's
Yeah.
all expressive. It's
I think that's really
movements of
good.
life.
Another way to deal with like whatever you're
Yeah,
going
well,
through, like
it's like music
it's
therapy.
like
I'm pretty
therapy.
sure
Yeah,
is
music
like
therapy. Well,
that.
like even now people do like painting therapy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Stuff like
Yeah.
that. Obviously there's the meditation type of things as well that you can do. But like if you can't quiet the mind, you can do like music therapy, art
If I didn't
therapy.
have that though, I reckon I would have been fucking depressed.
Yeah,
'Cause like it would just be all inside me,
no way
and
of
I'd be
letting it
talking
out.
to people about it. But yeah, like I definitely think I would have been a bit more messed up if I didn't have music as an outlet,
Yeah,
for sure. Something to focus on, something to like pour out your heart and soul or whatever into the music.
true.
Yeah, I would have been. I reckon I would have been depressed.
That's what they say as well. Like journaling is good, like writing down your emotions or your
Yeah,
feelings or
get
your
it out of your
thoughts.
head.
Yeah, I remember when I first started to write on my journal, the first thing I wrote was like, let me just
Yeah.
go back to it and tell you because I
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
please
not
do.
remember. The power of writing your thoughts down, allowing you to let go of them.
Yeah, totally. That's what it
Um,
is. Spinning around your head, man. You have that thought and it just keeps coming back. If you don't get it out of your head, you know, talk it out to someone or just write it down or write it into a song for me or like it'll just bounce around there for ages and drive you crazy.
yeah. It's not until you actually like through meditation, because in meditation, right, like when you're trying to quiet your mind, you you see the things that are bothering you. You see the things that are troubling you in your mind, because those are the
They're
thoughts
the
that don't want
loud
to like
thoughts
yeah, it's
banging
because
on the
they don't want to
door.
like disappear. It's just there, and that's what's good about meditating, because you're kind of like, okay, like why like they say that meditation, and especially when people are like, oh, I can't meditate because I can't quiet my mind, and it's
It's
like,
part
yeah,
of it.
but yeah, it's all part of it. It's like the whole process of it, right? Like you trying to quiet your mind and seeing the things that come up is, the step of being like, oh shit, this is what I need to
This
work
is a
on.
problem
This is
that's
the problem. Yeah.
my subconscious is bringing to my consciousness.
Yeah, yeah, and this is, yeah. Now let's try to figure out ways on how I
Yeah.
can let it go. And like with music, right? For you specifically, like you were using that outlet to let go and like of
Yeah.
you, or just express how you feel in a sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's
Fine.
getting this out.
Yeah. So I
You
think for
know.
people out there like that are just dealing with things, it's always good to what look
Find
for
a
a hobby
way.
or like.
Hobby, an outlet,
But
something
then like outlets could be
creative is
also
pretty
not
good.
good, right? Like let's say outlets as in like going out to the pub and just getting
That's not an
wasted almost.
outlet. That's
Is it not an
that's
outlet though?
escapism. No, I mean maybe
Uh,
dancing is an outlet, but like, and you got to cut sick every now and then. You got to blow off steam. Like if you're doing 9 to 5 and you're working all the
yeah, but
time,
then
and you
doesn't
got to
that
have a
become an
party.
outlet?
If you're having a good boogie like once a month or something, and you're getting having a good time, maybe you sink a bunch of beers or whatever. I don't see it as that bad if you're doing other things as well. I think a party is quite necessary, man. Like
But not if it's
letting your hair, it's like letting your hair down. Yeah, but you're not letting your hair down every day. Like
too much of a good thing.
too much of a good thing. Yeah, exactly. But I definitely think it's healthy to write stuff down and
Yeah.
get it out of you.
Just
Yeah.
do
Do
things
things.
that are creative in a
I
sense,
think
right? Or-
creativity is the main way to healthily extract negative thoughts or negative emotions or just emotions that are like trapping you or holding you back or spinning around your mind. Like if you can express yourself in a creative way, I think that's the most productive step forward.
Yeah.
Or just writing a journal definitely helps too.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Just expressing how you feel and stuff like
yeah, it's
that.
just with
But
creativity you can have a bit more fun with it.
yeah.
And.
Doesn't seem like a chore kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like I actually
Exactly.
enjoy doing this.
Yeah, I'm having a
Mm.
good time and I'm also doing work on myself.
True, that self work, right?
Yeah.
That inner work.
Yeah. It's hard to find that too. I always feel like I was really lucky that I found music, because there's so many people that don't know. It's kind of like kicking a rock down the road,
Yeah.
But to find something that you truly love and are passionate about that's also like an outlet, it's just such a nice thing. And that's why I would just promote anyone to just follow something they're interested in. Just follow it for a bit. You don't know where it's gonna lead you.
Just try out.
Just try
Right.
new shit. Just do stuff
Yeah.
that sparks your interest, man. Because life's too short to not do that. And you might have all these thoughts that are holding you back, but just fight them away and just take the leap into something different and
100%.
follow your heart.
I think the thing for me is I don't want to live in regret. Like I don't want to be 10 years from now and be like, oh, I
Yeah.
wish I did this, or I wish I tried that. Like just
Whoa.
fucking throw
Yeah.
everything at the wall and something's gonna stick, man.
100%, man. It's funny, that mentality. It's like the YOLO mentality I used to have when I was young. I don't know why. I always thought I was gonna die when I was a kid. Like, I was just like, I don't know. Like, and I almost, I remember almost getting hit by a truck when I was riding a scooter. I'm like, oh, okay, but I'm still not dead. Like somehow, and it always motivated me. Like, I don't know. Like, I'd kiss girls when I was like in year 5. Like, just like sneak kisses, and you don't really know about consent, but like I kissed one girlfriend that I had or whatever, and I was like, fucking YOLO, man. Like, we could die, so I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah, right.
It's a good
Just having
motivator.
that,
Nothing's a
I
motivator
guess,
like death.
Yeah, 100%. Like that mentality or just the perspective that we're all gonna die at some point, man. So why not just try different
Just
things? Like just do
yeah, while
shit,
you're here,
man.
man.
Who gives
Yeah.
a fuck what other people are gonna think? Because that's somewhere I get caught myself in when it's like thinking about what others are gonna think about me, especially when I try to, or like especially when I do something that's creative and I put it out, like where's the social
You're
media or
like,
on YouTube
yeah.
and shit. You're just like, oh, I don't know what people are gonna think about me. Oh no, they're gonna think of this, think of that. Bro, most of the time people don't even think about you, man. Like, yeah, it
They're
might
too
cross
caught
their
up kicking
mind.
the stone down the road, bro. Like they're just
Yeah, and they're caught up with their own lives, bro.
exactly the
Everyone
stone
is
is their
fucking
life,
yeah.
bro.
Everyone's so like egotistic in a way. Like even by
No one's paying
me,
attention to you, man.
100%, 100%. Even by me saying that, oh, I want to help other like. I've been going within and like learning about more about myself, especially when I'm like, oh, I want to help others. I want to, do this for other people.
Yeah.
It's like, do I really like? Is that my core value, or is that like? Is that whole I want to help people coming from a good place, or is it because me helping people makes me feel good and I get like the power that I feel from helping others? That
I
it's
helped you.
like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I helped you, so then I like you
I
kind of have to help me way like back. So there's a
yeah.
lot of things like we all are a bit like egotistical, man. Like even
Yeah,
though
man,
that
the
like we
ego
may
is such
think
a
like
hard thing to understand
yeah,
and
100%. But it's
like
nothing to be
tame, but
fighting at, man. It's like, okay, let me be self-aware of this, and how can I
yeah,
use
because
it
it's a
for everyone's benefit?
tool. It's a tool too. Yeah, if you can get that confidence, it can help you achieve things for you and your team, or help you encourage other people or inspire. It's definitely good, but like you could see people, taking the piss with their ego a bit. It's just snowballed into this gross thing, and you're like, oh god. I mean, like I had that when I reckon I had an ego death when I was like 16 or something. I used to think I was king shit, man. I thought I was so good,
How did that
and I was
ego
like, because
death
I
come
was good
about?
at things, right? I was like good at sports, and
Okay.
I could play guitar. I don't know. I was good at stuff, like, but yeah, I don't know. There was just a time, and I just like lost all my friends because of thinking I was heaps good, and it just
Is
fucking
this
broke me,
in high
bro.
school or?
Yeah, in high school, in like year 10 or something, I just literally lost all my friends except for one friend, pretty much. My mate Angus, shout outs. You watch this, bro.
And then wait, how did you break through?
Well, I just
Break
kind of
from this?
realized, like, you'd hear shit that they'd say about you, or like,
Oh
and
wow.
just realize that they weren't. I didn't have any friends. I had like one friend. Like some other, like I made friends with a different group or whatever, but. And like it just, I caught on to the fact of like, oh shit, I'm a dickhead. Like,
I'm the problem.
yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh fuck, and I don't know how I ended up getting out of that, but I remember my mate just said like something in you just changed, and I
What
think that
was your
was
ego
my
death
ego death.
experience?
I don't know, bro. I can't remember it, but I can remember being like, that's not the way that I should be acting.
And this
That's
is
not a
before your
nice way to
parents
live.
split
That's
up.
not. Yeah, it must have been, yeah, 16. And then obviously through 17, 18, like I was still growing and holding space for my parents, or like, going through that. And that I think grounded me more, and
Mm.
yeah, I just had a solid grounding. I don't know if it was an ego death or a grounding or whatever, like, but something definitely shifted in my energy, and I was just more focused on other people instead of myself. Like talking
Yeah.
about making sure they were all right, and
Yeah.
not just being like, ha, I'm a fucking cowboy, pew, pew, pew. Like, I don't give a shit
I'll
about
do what I
anyone. I'm
want.
funny. Yeah, fuck you. Like, I was like, just like considerate of people, and like acknowledge that I wasn't the only person, like,
In this
in
earth.
the, yeah, exactly.
I
And that's
think
what my ego death felt like. And
probably it
since
spot up
then,
from that conversation with your friend. I think we even like a bit like having like being a little bit egotistical, like especially in an artist.
yeah,
I guess it's somewhat necessary. I just
it is.
because I watched this interview with Kevin Parker with Triple J, and the interviewer asks him, he's like, "So you've worked with like Kanye West, and she just names all these big time artists, and he's like, what's the best thing you've learned from working with all these artists?" And then he just like goes back to saying, "You just need to believe in yourself."
Yeah,
Like
he
from
doubted
him.
himself. I've watched that too.
Yeah.
Don't doubt yourself. Have your own back, or something
Yeah,
like that.
don't
He
doubt
says,
yourself
"Hey, yeah,
because he goes from like, all these big artists, right? Like they are where they are now because they believed in
in their
themselves.
ideas and
That's right,
themselves.
right.
Yeah,
Because like, bro,
yeah.
especially being an artist, man. Like, if you don't believe in yourself and then, like, if you don't think that you're putting like the stuff that you're bringing out is pretty good,
How's anyone
how?
else supposed to believe in you or like want to work with you if you don't even want to work with yourself? Really, like
Yeah.
from the viewer's perspective or their perspective, like
Or
this
the
guy's.
listeners, whoever
Yeah,
may be,
exactly,
like
man.
you need to believe in you, especially as an artist. That's what I was like. So the ego thing is not a, like a bad thing if you know how to like
No.
find the balance or how to
Yeah.
control it, because you still need to believe in
Back your
yourself.
own ideas, but don't. Yeah, there's just this line of that you've got to walk of not just thinking the sun shines out of your ass because of your ideas. Believe in your ideas, but don't think you're king shit because of them. Does that make
True.
sense? It's
Believe in
like
your ideas, but
stay
don't think
humble. It's like fucking
you're
Kendrick
always gonna
says
say.
that. You can have your own back without fucking pissing on someone else or like acting like a fucking asshole.
Yeah,
You know?
but still believing in
You
yourself
still
enough
believe in yourself.
that
It's like I believe in all my ideas and like I know
mm,
I'm a good producer and songwriter, but
you have
like
to, man.
I'm
Like
not gonna be
you as a
like
creative, you have to. If not, you're
yeah.
gonna give up.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
You're
yeah,
gonna stop
how
doing
can
it.
you, yeah, how can anyone else believe in you if you don't believe in yourself? And that's definitely a place of ego can help you there.
Yeah.
But then just not taking it to the point where you're like, you know, even on stage, I remember like doing my like EP launch and I was like watching the crowd, like loving the fucking music and like started
Feels you.
being like,
Fuels
fuck
you.
yeah. And
Yeah.
like, and being like, oh, that's a bit much. And my mate was like, maybe just tone it down a bit, bro. And I was like, yeah, I think you're right. Hey, like watching back on the footage, like,
Yeah.
you know,
I guess
you are
also.
not the king because people are having a good time at your show. It's very nice, but you are not the ruler of the world and all matter
For that time
because
or
you
period,
made.
though, you might
Yeah,
be.
it's a beautiful thing, like being on stage and like having the crowd in your hand and watching them vibes of shit you wrote in your room about your parents splitting up. Like it's really nice.
Yeah.
But you
It
are
would be nice when others
you are
know your
not
lyrics.
God
Yeah. Yeah,
because you made
right.
a song.
Always need to do that psychedelics to bring you down to earth every now and then.
Nothing like getting shot through the fucking center of the universe on a DMT trip to bring you back down.
Oh man, I think I'm gonna have to wrap it up. It was really
Yeah,
good having you here,
we're
though.
playing
I
the
think that
song.
camera might have died, but that's okay. We still have got two other cameras rolling. Where can people find you, man? When are you gonna be releasing new music?
I live in Campsie, so if you
No, I don't
fucking
mean like that. Like your socials, mate. Come on.
at this is Zepha.
Yep.
So just how it sounds.
And your act
This
more
is Zepha.
cool. And what your most active? What social media
Oh,
platform are you most active
Instagram
on?
is like the only thing I'm really active on, and YouTube somewhat.
Yeah.
But I'm releasing an EP in the next month or so, so there's a lot of content coming to Instagram and YouTube, probably Facebook too. But yeah, I'm like got shit on SoundCloud, YouTube, like Spotify and stuff as well. But
So you've
yeah.
got an EP launching in the next couple months.
Yeah.
Can you say what's the name of the EP?
Yeah, it's called This Is Zepha, which
How many-
is like my Instagram handle.
How many tracks do you have in that?
5 tracks coming out.
And how long have you
and
been working on that?
I wrote it a year ago, and I started finalizing it around the time I met you, like 3 months ago. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to bring this out. So, it's, you know, and I finished it like last week or a few weeks ago, just final touches.
Yeah.
And we're shooting music videos for it and making cool content together for it, which has been really nice. Way to start a friendship.
That's right, man. You got to start a friendship not just from liking ketamine. You got to do
Yeah.
something else as well.
Exactly, yeah, bro. And that's why I'm so glad we're doing that now. Like, we have these productive hangouts instead of just getting lost in the sauce, bro. Like,
We've had our fun, I guess, with it. So
yeah, exactly.
time to explore.
Yeah, man. Like creating, like, yeah. Don't lose sight of the
Creating
vision.
is a beautiful thing, man.
It's a beautiful. Let me tell you something about creating, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh man. All right. Well, I hope everyone's having a lovely day or night, whatever time it may be that you're listening or
Thanks for
watching this
listening. If you made it this
podcast.
far,
And I'll see you guys on the next one.
see you.
Bye.
Laters on the menje.
Laters on the menje.
Yeah, it's from I Love You, man.
Not
Also, if you Instagram Jobens here, JOBENSHERE, that's my pet lizard. He has a YouTube as well. He's a rapper. It's good content.
Check him out.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.